most important things we can do in life is to choose love rather than anger and hate. This is the powerful message from a mother whose 6-year-old son, Jessie Lewis, was killed in the Newtown tragedy. In her book, Nurturing Healing Love, Scarlett Lewis says her son's death could have destroyed her, but it was hope, love, and forgiveness and her faith that saved her. Scarlett is also the founder of the Jessie Lewis Choose Love Foundation. She's here on Connecticut Style. It's nice to have you here, Scarlett. Thank you for sharing your story. First off, you described Jessie as saying he was born brave. Tell us a little bit about him.
Jessie was born at 11 pounds.
It's a big baby.
He was very big, and so he kind of kept that bigger-than-life persona through his whole life. He was always happy, always, full of energy. He'd enter a room going, "Here's Jessie," and he was so helpful, the first person to offer to help people, and riding horses and riding on the back of his brother's ATV. He had a lot of fun. And
your other son, JT, is 13. What was their relationship like, Jessie and JT?
Their relationship was like any other brother. They fought and they loved, and they had a really nice time together.
Your book is described as a love story, a story that clearly sends the message that love itself never ends. And that's also kind of the mission of your foundation as well. Kind of goes hand in hand.
Absolutely. So I started the Jessie Lewis Choose Love Foundation to continue the momentum that the world had created of compassion that day. On that day, December 14th, I call it the world's greatest day of compassion, because everyone chose to reach out. Everyone that day became one, and they all felt our pain. But then they did the second part of compassion too, because there's an action component, and they did something to help ease that pain. So the Jessie Lewis Choose Love Foundation is working just to continue that momentum that the world started on that day.
And Scarlett, the last time you saw Jessie, he kind of left you a love note on your car. Tell us what happened. I know you ran and got your camera.
Yeah, so that was the last morning, and I walked him out. He was meeting his father at the curb, and we were running a little late. He was late for school, I was late for work, and I turned to give him a hug, and I noticed that he had written with his little fingernail on the frost on the car window, "I love you," and he had drawn little hearts all over the windows. And I looked, and I was mindful enough to realize that was one of life's moments. And I took him by the shoulders and I said, "Jessie, you stand right here. Don't move. I'm going to run in and get my camera." And I ran back into the house, came running out with my camera. I put him right in front of his message. I took a couple of pictures, gave him a kiss, and then
even though you were
off.
Running late, you recognized that it was a moment.
Thankfully.
And even through the painful time, you said that you continually got messages from Jessie, which might have helped a little bit with the healing.
It definitely helped. We got a picture of an angel and a bad man in a box that came home in his personal belongings from school a week after he died.
Which makes you think he had some sort of knowledge or an instinct?
It's called precognitive drawing, and it's a very powerful example of that. And that gave me a lot of comfort in feeling like there's a master plan with a capital M and capital P. The first time I went home to get clothes for Jessie's funeral, I found a note on the kitchen chalkboard that he had written shortly before he died, and it said, "Nurturing Healing Love."
Is that something he would normally say?
Not at all. I mean, those words are not in the vernacular of a 6-year-old. They were phonetically spelled, but those 3 words are in the definition of compassion across all cultures. So it was a very prophetic message, and I knew immediately that it was one of comfort for his family and friends, but I also knew that it was a message of inspiration for the world, and that is also what the foundation is hoping to promote, nurturing healing love.
And another message, which is truly unbelievable, but you do have the pictures to prove it, is when you and your son were in Orlando.
Right, so we had taken this flight to Orlando. It was a healing trip right after Christmas, which was so hard. 2 weeks after the tragedy, I'd already done all my Christmas shopping, and very difficult. So we made the decision within a day to take this healing trip to Orlando. We got on the plane. There were signs of Jessie all over, And one of my friends had emailed me when we landed and said, sometimes spirits linger because they want to make sure you're going to be okay. So without saying anything to JT, I said a little prayer, and I just said, Jesse, I want you to be in the arms of Jesus. If you can be in both places, that would be great, but if not, go to Jesus. And then not saying anything to JT because it's our healing fun trip, I said, let's rent our car. We get in our car, we drive down the airport driveway, we turn right onto that highway, and there written in the sky, Jesse and Jesus together forever. And I pulled over. You never want to put words in a 13-year-old's mouth, so I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and he said, Jesse's with Jesus. And he had no idea about the prayer or anything.
Wow.
I just sat there and
the J
snapped
was
pictures.
even the opposite way, like your son would write his J's.
In case I was confused, thinking it was another Jesse, the J was backwards, the way that Jesse wrote it. It was really incredible. It was miraculous.
Wow. And going back to it just for a minute, you said Jesse kind of had that subconsciously aware what might have happened. And you said even the prayer on the day of his birth. Talk to us about that.
On the day that he was born, I just said this prayer, and then I said it every day, that he's a gift. Thank you for giving him to me, and please don't take him. You know, and
typically you don't hear a mom say a prayer like that, right?
I know, and I said it every night, and I have 2 boys, and I love them equally, but I would say this with Jesse, and I never really questioned it, you know, but looking back, because hindsight is always 20/20, or can be, I think that it changed the way that we live life. You know, we lived life during those short 6 years to the fullest, and we just took every opportunity to love each other and have fun, and for that I'm very thankful.
And lastly, Scarlett, tell us how people can get involved with your foundation.
So right now we're doing so many things. We're developing curriculum, that's a Choose Love curriculum. We're developing programs. We're developing a Choose Love box to start movements in different areas. But right now I'm asking everybody to do what I asked at Jesse's funeral, and that is to consciously change an angry thought into a loving thought. I believe that the whole tragedy started with an angry thought in the shooter's head at some point, and the amazing thing is that a thought can be changed, and that we are not just this jumble of 60,000 thoughts that we have every day. Most of those that we had yesterday, the year before, 5 years before, and many of them unproductive and that don't serve us, and angry. Sure. We can actually take control of those thoughts and change an angry thought into a loving thought. Sure. And that makes us feel better, that makes those around us feel better, and through the ripple effect we'll make the world a better place.
We'll start taking action.
And share that with us on
Sure.
our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you and get involved in the movement.
Very good. The name of the book, again, is Nurturing Healing Love. Scarlett, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right.